I'm here with Gary Hoover and Ranjith Rajendran to talk about how what's happening in the broader economy, decades high inflation, much higher interest rates than just 6 months ago, and an ongoing labor pinch is affecting private equity firms. Gary, to start, I guess maybe the first question is what are you seeing from a broader picture in private equity? What's going on and how are firms responding to this reality that we're in halfway through 2022?
Well, thanks, Jason. Pleasure to be with you. Yes, we are seeing a slight change from the end of 2021, where the due diligence market was very hot and getting hotter. Since the middle of Q1, the end of Q1, we've seen, I would call it a leveling off of due diligence activity. It's not a tail off or it's not an end, but really a stabilization. And the shift has been a little bit more to the value creation side. So the work levels are up overall, but the shift is a little bit more on the value creation side as we've seen this leveling off of the operational due diligence.
All right, that makes sense. So let's talk about due diligence then. Ranjith, if you're starting a due diligence effort right now for a possible investment, what should private equity firms be thinking about given all these different macroeconomic things we're talking about?
I think the fundamentals still stay the same, but I do see a lot more scrutiny on the revenue growth plan, but also there is an emphasis on what's being planned for the capex. Are there alternate means? Can they be looked into doing in phases? But the effort is towards how to manage that inflation impact on capex investment. And then there is one other area where we do see that there is a little bit more scrutiny is on the return on investment assumptions. So when the team is looking at, they just want to make sure that whatever the seller is sharing, they can validate. So when we go into it, we look at how much they have passed on price so far or the cost so far, what else they are planning, and how much there is tolerance for taking on additional price. So those are some of the basics we do look at in a regular due diligence. But in this case, there is a lot more attention towards how does it impact the overall investment thesis.
Are you seeing firms adjust holding periods? Are they compressing or extending because of higher interest rates? Is that changing their behavior at the due diligence stage?
I have not seen it yet, but I think it's in their mind. But in most cases, they react to it based on where do they see the results are, and that allows them to make necessary adjustments. But at
You
the
and
due
Gary were
diligence,
talking. Go ahead.
they go straight into validation and verification. So that's still the primary focus for them.
You and Gary were talking about capacity. So, are you seeing at the due diligence phase more interest in making sure that the organization has the capacity necessary to hit the growth targets? Has that become a higher priority in due diligence than it used to be?
Yes, it's because of the current condition with the labor market, because that does have an influence on if a team is assuming a certain level of growth and it relies on significant amount of labor, that presents an opportunity for them to look at it in terms of value creation. Are there any potential for automation? How would they integrate new team members? Those type of initial thoughts around how to do this efficiently is still something they do ask us to look at.